I don't know if you can feel it too, but deep inside me, there's a vibration, a quiet tension that's hard to describe in words. It's not loud. It's not aggressive. It feels more like a whisper from the universe. Get ready. The awakening is near. We are standing on the edge of something enormous. And no, this isn't about doom or dramatic predictions. This is the stillness before a shift in awareness. And I feel it with every breath. Maybe you do too. But here's the truth. What happens outside of you is never as important as what's happening inside. The world may shake. Circumstances may shift. But no one can take away your power unless you give it away. You can either let these events break your inner peace, or you can use them as fuel, as an invitation to remember who you truly are. That's why you're here right now. This video didn't just randomly appear on your feed. It's not a coincidence. It's a call, a signal. And if something in you knows that, hit the like button and subscribe, because this journey, we're taking it together. Right now, millions of people around the world are glued to their screens, overwhelmed with fear, uncertainty, negativity. They give away their inner peace to forces they cannot control. But I've made a different choice. I've chosen to no longer follow someone else's script. I don't want to react. I want to create. Not from denial, not from illusion, but from understanding that my interpretation of the world matters more than the world itself. Because it is my thoughts that shape my experience. Think about it. The exact same day can feel like a disaster for one person, and like an opportunity for another. The same storm can drown one, and give wings to another. The difference isn't in the event. The difference is in the awareness. My goal isn't to think positive. That's not enough. I've tried that. Real power begins when you realize this. Your brain is a tool, not your master. It was built for survival, not for joy. It's designed to look for danger, not possibilities. It's trained to notice what's missing, not what's already here. But I don't want to live in fear anymore. I want to live awake. Each morning is a chance to tune in, not to headlines, not to noise, not to pressure, but to myself. To the silence inside. To the space where I don't have to be perfect or prepared, just present. And in that presence, I remember who I am. If this speaks to you, if something inside you whispers, yes. If you know there's more to life than surviving, like this video, subscribe to the channel and stay with me. Because this, right here, is not just content. This is your anchor. This is your reminder. You are not the noise. You are not the fear. You are the creator. And this is just the first step. Once I started to truly understand how my brain works, everything changed. We often blame circumstances, the economy, the news, other people. But one day I asked myself an honest question. What if the real threat isn't out there, but in here? And it hit me. My brain, this incredible, complex system, is wired for survival. Its job is to protect me, not inspire me. It was built to scan for danger, predict threats, and prepare for the worst. That was great when we lived among wild predators. But now it's like living in a prison with an overprotective guard. Most people wake up and instantly dive into stress. Scrolling news, checking messages, reviewing problems. Not realizing that these morning habits are not just information. They are programming. They're shaping the entire emotional tone of your day. Here's the thing. Science confirms that our brains process negative information faster and more intensely than positive. One negative comment can ruin a day, even if you had 10 compliments. Sound familiar? That's your brain doing its job, keeping you alert, scanning for danger, replaying what went wrong. But when fear becomes your baseline, you're no longer creating a new life, you're just recycling your past. Think about that for a second. If most of your thoughts revolve around what you're afraid of, what you lack, or what could go wrong, what kind of reality are you building? Fear-based thinking isn't about truth. It's about habit. It's a loop, a mental rut, replaying itself, disguised as logic. And here's what most people don't realize. They think their anxiety is rational. They think their fear is based on real threats. But it's just the brain, running old programs without permission. You walk into a room and instantly notice what's wrong. You look at your life and only see what's missing. Your brain isn't trying to ruin your mood. It's just doing what it's wired to do. Prioritize threats over gratitude. But here's the danger. When you're constantly under stress, your body produces cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals are great for quick survival responses. But when they're chronically elevated, they destroy your health. They narrow your thinking. They drain your joy. And I finally realized, I don't want to live in fight or flight mode anymore. So I made a decision. I will no longer be a prisoner of my own mind. I will no longer let survival mode run the show. I am not here to just survive, I'm here to create. The first step. Awareness. Noticing the pattern when it activates. Taking a breath. Telling myself, this fear is not me. This is old programming. And I get to choose differently now. And with that one breath, I start taking my power back. There's a pattern I started to notice. Maybe you've seen it too. Every time I opened the news, it was the same thing. Urgent. Alarming. Breaking. Even if it was the same story from yesterday, just louder, scarier, more dramatic. And I asked myself, why? Then I saw it clearly. My attention is their business model. Every moment I'm glued to a screen, reacting in fear, anger, or anxiety, someone profits. Fear isn't just an emotion anymore. It's a product. It's a commodity. It's the new currency. And I was spending it, every day, without realizing the cost. The media doesn't care if I'm calm or empowered. They don't want me thinking clearly. They need me to be triggered, hooked, emotionally invested. Because every second I spend scrolling, clicking, reacting, means another dollar, another ad, another data point in their system. And you know what? I wasn't angry at them. I was angry at myself. Because I let them in. I gave them the keys to my mind, my focus, my emotions. And here's the scary part. The more you consume fear-based content, the more real it starts to feel. You begin to believe that the world is collapsing. That there's no hope. That it's not worth trying. But it's not the world that's collapsing. It's your nervous system. This is what psychologists call the mean world syndrome. When you're constantly bombarded with stories of crime, crisis, and catastrophe, your perception changes. You see danger everywhere, even in places where none exists. And that changes your behavior. You stop dreaming. You stop taking risks. You wait for the right time. For stability. For things to calm down. But that time never comes. Because the chaos never ends. Not out there, but in here. That's when I made a choice. To stop consuming fear. To stop feeding my mind with panic and propaganda. To stop being a passive receiver and start being a conscious filter. Because there's a big difference between being informed and being manipulated. Real information empowers you. Fear shuts you down. So I stopped letting headlines dictate my emotional state. I started guarding my attention like it was sacred, because it is. And as I became more selective, I noticed something else. My peace returned. My clarity increased. My inner world began to stabilize, no matter what was happening outside. I realized that my life doesn't have to follow the economy, or politics, or social media. My life follows my focus. For some people, every crisis is a collapse. For others, it's an opportunity. Same world, different mindset. So I stopped living like a statistic. I stopped thinking like the average. Because I'm not here to survive inside someone else's narrative. I'm here to write my own. One day I realized something that changed everything. Whatever I focus on, grows. Not because of magic. Not because the universe is a wish-fulfilling machine. But because my brain is wired to prove me right. To seek evidence for what I believe. To highlight the world I expect to see. Focus isn't passive, it's powerful. It's a spotlight. And wherever I shine it, becomes brighter, louder, more real. If I focus on fear, I will find it. If I focus on opportunities, I will notice them. If I focus on lack, I will experience more of it. And here's the part almost no one talks about. You can desire love, success, abundance. But if you secretly feel resentment toward those who already have it, you won't attract it, you'll repel it. Why? Because your emotional response tells your subconscious, this is not for me. This is separate. I don't belong in that reality. Every time you envy someone's wealth, you push abundance away. Every time you feel bitterness about someone's relationship, you push love away. Every time you resent someone's health, you push vitality away. But when you celebrate what others have, when you say, that's beautiful, and it's possible for me too, you build a bridge between your current state and the one you want to live in. This isn't spiritual fluff, this is neuroscience. When I express genuine gratitude, my brain releases chemicals that shift my internal state. It starts scanning the environment for more to appreciate. It begins building a narrative of having, not lacking. And over time, that narrative becomes my identity. I began to practice this every single day. When I saw abundance, I whispered, I bless this. I welcome this into my life. When I saw love, I said, I celebrate your connection, and I open myself to it too. When I witnessed success, I thought, thank you for showing me what's possible. Not because I was pretending, but because I wanted to shift what I was energetically aligned with. And this is the truth. You can't move toward what you energetically reject. We often live in escape mode, trying to avoid poverty, avoid loneliness, avoid failure. But when your mind is focused on what you want to avoid, you're still giving energy, tension, emotion to that thing. And attention is creation. So I stopped running from fear, and I started walking toward what I actually desired. Not in fantasy, not in denial, but in intentional alignment. I no longer say, please let nothing go wrong. I say, let something beautiful happen, and I am ready to receive it. That's the shift. That's how focus becomes creative. That's how I stopped surviving and started living. There's a truth I remind myself of daily. The world will always bring challenges, change, noise, uncertainty. But that's not the real issue. The question is, who will I be when it happens? I can live in reaction, tossed around by headlines, fears, and chaos. Or I can live with intention, rooted, calm, awake. That's the real power. Not in controlling everything out there, but in choosing what happens in here. This is the difference between sinking and rising. Both people are in the same water. One panics and clings to the past. The other breathes and begins to paddle forward. When I realized that my inner world doesn't have to collapse just because the outer one is shaking, I found freedom. Freedom to respond, not react. Freedom to create, not copy. Freedom to choose peace, even when the world screams fear. And here's the truth. You don't have to wait. Not for better news. Not for calmer times. Not for someone to give you permission. Your strength is already here. In this breath. In this moment. In this awareness. Every time you choose presence over panic. Every time you choose clarity over chaos. Every time you choose purpose over noise. You're reclaiming yourself. You're no longer a product of the collective story. You're the author of your own. This video was created for educational and inspirational purposes under the guidelines of fair use. All content is originally written, narrated, and edited to provide a unique motivational experience for those on a journey of self-awareness and growth. We do not copy. We interpret. We do not duplicate. We transform. Every video on this channel is the result of deep research, scripting, voiceover, emotional design, and conscious storytelling. Our mission is to serve those seeking inner strength and transformation, not through escapism, but through awareness, clarity, and choice. So if this message resonates with something deep inside you, if you're tired of waiting for life to change from the outside in, if you're ready to take full responsibility for your mind, your energy, your experience, then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs this reminder today. Because your shift doesn't begin someday. It doesn't begin when conditions are perfect. It begins right now, with your decision to rise. And nothing, absolutely nothing, can take that power away from you, unless you give it up.